What if God seeks forgiveness? Imagine a world where the greatest miracle isn't creation, but redemption. We talk about God's love, His mercy. We read about forgiveness in the Bible, in stories across cultures. But what if that wasn't just a human concept, a way for us to deal with our own failings? What if it was something God genuinely desired? It's a strange thought, isn't it? A God, the ultimate source of everything, wanting something from us, something we've already broken. Think about a child who's hurt someone. They don't always understand the full impact of their actions. They might feel remorse, but that remorse is often tied to the fear of punishment, of losing a parent's love. But what if that initial feeling, that instinctive desire to make things right, was a glimpse of something deeper? The story of David and Goliath comes to mind. David was young, inexperienced, and terrified. He killed a giant, a symbol of Israel's fear. But he didn't celebrate his victory with arrogant pride. He acknowledged God's help, and more importantly, he expressed regret for the life he took. That wasn't simply religious obedience. It was a recognition of the inherent value of human life, a desire to repair the damage caused by violence. It's a simple truth, really. Every act of harm creates a wound. And every act of compassion, every gesture of apology, attempts to heal that wound. History is full of examples. Consider the Roman Empire. It rose to incredible power, built on conquest and often brutal suppression. Emperors like Nero, infamous for persecuting Christians, were driven by ambition, by a lust for control. But even within that system of corruption and violence, there were individuals who questioned the morality of their actions. Tacitus, the historian, documented the cruelty of the emperors with a chilling objectivity, revealing the dark heart of the empire. He didn't offer justifications. He simply presented the facts. That questioning, that awareness of wrongdoing, wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a crucial step towards acknowledging a need for change. It suggests a fundamental human instinct, a recognition that our choices have consequences, and that some consequences deserve correction. We see it again and again. The American Civil War. The South, clinging to its system of slavery, fought to maintain a way of life built on injustice. Lincoln, initially hesitant, eventually recognized the moral bankruptcy of the Confederacy's actions and moved toward emancipation. It wasn't a purely strategic decision. It was a recognition of a deeper truth, that slavery was fundamentally wrong. The desire for forgiveness, for absolution, wasn't just a personal feeling, it was woven into the fabric of our moral development. Let's look at something smaller, something personal. Think about a friendship that's been damaged. Perhaps a misunderstanding, a harsh word, a betrayal. The hurt lingers. It festers. And yet the possibility of repair remains. The willingness to apologize, to admit fault, is a powerful thing. It's not always easy. It takes courage to confront the pain we've caused. But it's also a profoundly human act of grace. We often think of forgiveness as a gift from God to us. But what if it's more reciprocal? What if God, in His infinite understanding, wants our acknowledgement of our mistakes, our willingness to strive for better? The concept of grace itself implies a response. It's not simply a free handout. It's predicated on our willingness to accept it. Consider the story of Mary Magdalene, a figure central to the Gospels. She was a follower of Jesus, and according to tradition, she was present at His crucifixion. She was the first witness to His resurrection. And she became one of the earliest apostles. Her transformation, from a woman associated with sin to a key figure in the nascent Christian community, is a testament to the power of forgiveness. It suggests that even the deepest wounds can be healed, that even the most flawed individuals can find redemption. But what about evil? What if God wants us to confront evil, to actively seek forgiveness for the darkness within ourselves and within the world? The problem of evil is a cornerstone of human thought. Why does suffering exist? Why does injustice prevail? The answers aren't always neat or comforting. But the pursuit of understanding, the willingness to grapple with these difficult questions, is itself a form of seeking. It's a recognition that our world is imperfect, and that we, as individuals and as a species, are responsible for the choices we make. The story of Job is a profound exploration of this tension. Job was a righteous man, blameless in the eyes of God. Yet he suffered unimaginable loss, the death of his children, the destruction of his property, and a debilitating illness. He questioned God's justice, and his questions were not born of anger or resentment, but of profound grief and confusion. He didn't demand an explanation. He simply asked for the opportunity to understand. This willingness to confront suffering, to acknowledge the mystery of evil, is a vital aspect of the human spirit. Think about the phenomenon of addiction. A person struggling with addiction often feels trapped, consumed by their compulsion. They may have lost everything, their family, their job, their sense of self-worth. But the possibility of recovery always remains. It requires immense courage, honesty, and a willingness to seek help. It's a process of admitting fault, acknowledging the harm caused, and actively working to change behavior. It's a recognition that we are not masters of our own destiny, that we are vulnerable to temptation, and that we need support to overcome our weaknesses. This struggle, this ongoing battle against our darker impulses, mirrors the broader human condition. We are constantly faced with choices that test our integrity, choices that demand we confront our own shortcomings. The desire to overcome these challenges, to seek redemption, is a fundamental aspect of our being. The artist Michelangelo spent years chipping away at a block of marble, slowly revealing the beauty hidden within. It was a process of persistent effort, of confronting the imperfections and the challenges, to ultimately create something extraordinary. Consider the concept of shame. Shame is a powerful and often destructive emotion. It can lead to isolation, self-loathing, and a reluctance to seek help. But shame can also be a catalyst for change. When we acknowledge our shame, when we admit we've done something wrong, we open ourselves to the possibility of healing. This is why confession is so important in many religions. It's not simply about satisfying a divine requirement. It's about taking responsibility for our actions, about seeking forgiveness, and about beginning the process of transformation. The act of confession is an acknowledgement that we are human, that we are fallible, and that we need help. It's an act of humility, of vulnerability, and of courage. It's about recognizing that we are not defined by our mistakes, but by our willingness to learn from them. Even the most celebrated figures in history have made mistakes. Shakespeare, a literary giant, penned some of the most tragic plays ever written, filled with flawed characters consumed by ambition and jealousy. He didn't shy away from depicting these darker aspects of human nature. He embraced them. Ultimately, the question of whether God seeks forgiveness is not about logic or proof. It's about something deeper, a fundamental human need for connection, for understanding, and for redemption. It's about the inherent tension between our capacity for both good and evil. It's about acknowledging that we are imperfect beings, capable of great love and terrible cruelty. What if God seeks forgiveness? The answer, perhaps, lies not in a definitive declaration, but in the persistent act of seeking it ourselves. It is a continuous, difficult, and profoundly beautiful journey. A journey that reminds us that even in the darkest of moments, the possibility of grace always remains. And that in the end, is what truly matters.